Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, so I rode for Team GB for 8 years. I always knew I wanted to go into sales after retiring with the delay of the Tokyo Olympics. Sales was always for me. I had targets set from when I was 14 years old. I needed to achieve those targets. If I didn't achieve those targets, someone else would take my seat. I always knew I wanted to get into sales. Started at Zscaler in August 2020. Asked for advice. Do I want to go into a closing role, a BDR role? Through numerous chats with lots of salespeople while I was transitioning out of my elite sport role, they suggested definitely go into a BDR role because you're going to learn more. You're going to learn how to PG, and a lot of the best closers in large enterprise and majors within the best software sales companies in the world were BDRs because they learned how to PG, and it's the basics that get you your pipeline for second and third quarter. Went into that, looked after majors and large enterprise. In 9 months, I closed 35% of all EMEA opportunities throughout the entire company in some way, shape, or form I touched. That was worth 25 million. And I want to talk to you guys about today I then was promoted into a closing role. And I'm going to talk about what I did, about how I went about it, because this was literally the first job I ever had outside of my rowing career. So I always thought when I was looking for a promotion, I thought once you were in the company, a promotion looked like it was like in the movies where you speak to your boss on a golf course, you buy him a beer, you shake his hand, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get the job. Yeah, I'm going to get the job. And I quickly found out that that wasn't the case. And I needed to prove myself about if I want to go into a closing role, I need to show certain things. So I literally ran my promotion and my interview process like a sales cycle. I approached the manager and I asked them for 30 minutes of their time. Don't ever just say, oh yeah, manager and me having 30 minutes. Write an agenda. If it's a Zoom call, you have an agenda so that they have a reason to be there. I set up the 30-minute call and I said, I would like to get started in your closing in your territory. I need to know, what do I need to prove from myself in order to get that. I then started identifying pain. I did, within my company, we follow the sales process of MEDIC. So I started identifying pain within his region and what he had to do as a manager. And I started identifying things like, okay, the training and ramp up for a new hire is roughly 6 months. That means that you're not going to be closing first this. He's learning the industry. They need to learn all of that. Whereas if I come in, I'm able to already know exactly what we do as a company, what our USP is, all of that stuff. I then also started approaching the manager that not only did I have the pain that he was associated with, I needed metrics. So therefore I started showing all of my metrics that I did as a BDR, how many companies I was closing, everything that I touched, what it was closing. If I was sending out emails, how many of those would come back as replies. I showed them all of that. I also got a shared sheet, which I had with my manager. Well, sorry, my manager now, but the guy that I wanted to be promoted into his role. And I said, this is my progression plan. After having our first half-hour discussion, you just said that these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths. These are what I'm going to be starting to work on in my weaknesses. Each week I'm updating it and I'm notifying you of an email summary. This is what I did in order to mitigate the risk. I also just asked them black and white, and I said, if you had to choose between me and another BDR to promote in the next month, what are they doing right? What am I doing right? What are they ahead of me in that I need to make sure that I need to do? And asking those type of questions shows you that you have the ability to think very much. A BDR's role is almost sales cycle 0 to 1, discovery, identifying a bit of pain. But where you have risk as a BDR going into a closing role is you don't know how to handle the discussion around economic buy. You don't know how to understand, how to handle the discussion around the decision process or decision criteria. And all of this I learned while being a BDR, and I showed my manager, this is what I'm doing to prove to you that I can mitigate all of this risk. That just helped me loads, because then my manager started saying, not only can this guy PG, not only can he reach out to this, he can create all of these good emails. He is showing me that he has taken the initiative that I understand from stage 3 to 7 and closing. I need to prove to him that I can do that. And that was where I identified pain. I was showing him that he was severely under-resourced. He had severely under technical SEs aligned to him. So I was saying, I am more technically advanced than some other BDRs because I've studied the product, I've studied our solution, that I could go on to discovery calls or new business meetings without a technical counterpart, because I can have that conversation at a very high level. And something like that is really important as a closer, if you can do that, and if I could prove that. So I had to prove it by obviously having a technical conversation with him. And I just thought the big highlights that I found from what I would always bring across is that if you're going to ask for your manager's time, if you're looking for promotion, these guys are extremely busy. Make it worthwhile to them. Send them an agenda. It is not like what you see in the movies where you just do a handshake and you ask for it. SaaS software sales is massive at the moment. Everyone wants to be in a closing role. You deserve to go into a closing role if you're doing well as a BDR, but you need to prove how you do that. And it's not just by, oh, look at my numbers, because there's going to be 1,000 people knocking on the door outside of the company that are wanting to do that. You need to prove in other ways how you can do that, by identifying pain within that company and within that territory. What is the manager spending all of his time? If he's spending 30% of his time on hiring and speaking to people outside of the company, you say, well, you don't need to speak to people outside. I'm here. And that I think is just how I would say was the best thing that I learned. And I was promoted within 8 months. So it was really cool. I was very, very lucky. And I think, James, I'm bang on 7 minutes if my time's correct.